All that in the next hour. And with me throughout is the former Home and Foreign Secretary, Jack Straw. Welcome back to the programme. First of all today, the Brexit Secretary, David Davis, has indicated he's willing to be flexible on the length of the transition period after the UK leaves the EU next year. The British government had argued it wanted a 2-year implementation period where Britain follows similar trading rules to now, to give businesses time to get ready before we leave. Brussels, however, wants a shorter time. Here is David Davis talking to Newsnight's Nick Watt last night.
I'm not bothered too much about the question of whether it's Christmas 2020 or Easter 2021.
So if it means Christmas 2020, you'd live with that?
I'd live with that. I mean, but you know, this is we're still in the middle of negotiation. But frankly, what I would not do is delay the decision, as it were, in order to get a month or two more.
David Davis, the Brexit Secretary there. Well, he seems pretty relaxed about the timescale of the implementation period. But more broadly speaking, Jack Straw, you campaigned to remain in the EU, as many Labour figures did. And the sky hasn't fallen in since the referendum, has it?
No, but the sky has not fallen in. On the other hand, we have now dropped to the bottom of the G20. That's the major industrialised countries in the world, 20 of them. We're at the bottom in terms of growth. And although the predictions made at the time of the referendum that there'd be immediate problems were not fulfilled, that's absolutely true, and we were in a period of a kind of phony situation for about a year where things just carried on. There isn't any doubt about it, the fact now that Brexit is having a significant impact on our output. I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, of course, despite that, people can point to high levels of employment and low levels of unemployment. But in terms of growth, we had a trend for years of about 2 to 2.5%, and that's now down to around 1.5%. And that it may sound a small proportion of a percentage, but that involves big numbers, and it means there is less tax revenue for the government to spend on it.
Although tax receipts have been up recently.
Yeah, but not as much as they would have been. And also there's less money in people's pockets.
I suppose one of the big questions, philosophical questions, is how much did people who voted for Leave care about the big macro figures, about whether growth is up or down by a few percentage points? And despite what you say, the dial hasn't moved that dramatically in terms of support for Leave or Remain. And Labour has moved its position on the customs union, saying that it would now like to have one with the EU. Do you think they will move any further when it comes to the single market? They've said not.
I doubt it. I mean, I think in Keir Starmer, who's our shadow Brexit secretary, we've got somebody who's a very, very bright, good judgment, a safe pair of hands. And yes, he has moved the party's position to a customs union. I doubt we move to the single market, because and the problem about single market is if we do join it, which in principle I would like us to do, then people say, well, why don't we rejoin the EU? And that's a very big question. On your point, Joe, about has the dial moved in terms of people's voting preferences, not much by all accounts. And there's no doubt that for a lot of people who voted Brexit, this was done out of a sense that not so much about the economic detail, but they wanted, quotes, to take back control. And that was a very, very powerful slogan, more than a slogan. And I think that did tip the balance in the last week of their campaign in favour of Brexit.
Do you think backbench Labour MPs have confidence in Jeremy Corbyn's position on the EU?
On the EU, because his position has shifted, yes, I think they probably do. And Keir Starmer is the person who's leading that.
All right, we'll leave it there.